Live from the studio of his parents' basement, the Have You Seen It podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across from me is the one and only Cash Kraus. But before we begin, if you guys could please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. So with that said, Cash Kraus, what are we reviewing today?
Oh, what a tasty little treat we have today, Mason.
Oh, yes, just the tastiest of treats.
I think our Indian fans are going to be very, very happy with what we are reviewing today because we didn't tease it at all.
No, we didn't. This is a shock. This will be a shock to all the subscribers.
It was a shock
out
to
there.
me as well.
It was.
Yeah, absolutely. But we were privileged, I should say, enough to see Sooryavanshi in theaters. We rented out an entire theater for ourselves because we said we had to see this film.
We did.
It is the fourth entry in the Shetty-verse.
The Shetty-verse. The cop universe.
We knew it was going to be a big one, so we actually, first Bollywood, Indian film, anything we've ever been able to see, we saw it inside a theater. Yeah. Crazy.
It was pretty crazy. It's quite the experience, and we actually have behind-the-scenes footage that we will be dropping periodically throughout this video. Yeah. Cash, we never thought we'd be here.
Nope.
We're seeing Sooryavanshi.
Only ones in the theater, baby.
Only one. We rented the whole theater out for the Have You Seen It podcast. The exclusive. We had to see it. Not a single person. We had to do it. We had to do it.
Had to pull the trigger.
Got a bunch of Indian trailers. It's the first big screen Indian cinema film we see in big theaters. I was expecting a giant crowd, honestly.
I know.
I was expecting people cheering and freaking out. Oh man, we are here, guys. We're here. We are excited. And here's the thing, Cash. Sooryavanshi was the very first Indian trailer reaction we did.
Yeah, it's poetic.
It is poetic. It'll be the first Indian film we saw on the big screen.
But will there be dancing in the theater?
I don't know.
If there is, it's going to be the two of us.
Yeah, we will be dancing.
It's a traditional Indian theater experience.
A free behind-the-scenes exclusive. We were pumped. This is the first time ever, so we love it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And whole theater ourselves.
We had to rent it out.
We had to do it, yeah.
It's as simple as that, folks.
Yeah.
To show you guys, but
because we had to record our experience.
we had to, and we recorded a lot of our experience.
It was surreal being there. Yeah.
And I actually felt like a part of me was because it's just so crazy that we actually finally saw an Indian film on the big screen, man.
Yes.
So it was pretty cool in that aspect. But we do also have to talk about this. It is poetic, as we talked about a lot. Because when we got into Indian cinema and Bollywood and Malayalam and all these different films, the very first film that we reacted to that was an Indian cinema trailer was Sooryavanshi.
Yes,
and,
the first, yeah.
And it's crazy. It just so happened that this was the first film that we ever got to see on the big screen.
Yeah.
It came full circle.
It absolutely did. This will be our last video. You're shutting it down.
Yeah, shutting the podcast.
It's not going to get more poetic than this.
No.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. It was kind of weird. Especially as that's what happened is we were looking through movies to watch. And then I was looking through Showtimes and I saw it and I'm like, I could not believe.
I know. I had no idea.
I messaged you. I said, we have to go see this.
And I was like, yes, we do.
It's not even.
And you and I typically don't go to the theater a lot together, but that was one that we absolutely had to experience together. We had to get footage of it because it was almost surreal. Like I couldn't believe there was actually an Indian film where we live in the theaters.
And it was so bizarre because we were sitting there and we were like watching the trailer and stuff, which was all Indian films,
all
of
Indian
course.
films, yep.
But we were like recognizing
Pankaj Tripathi.
Yeah, freaking out when Pankaj came
Yeah, well,
on.
we do love that man.
Yeah, but it was like you said, it was very very odd being there. We were looking forward to the intermission. We don't get intermissions.
The interval is what they call it. But
of course, yes. But it is a film intermission, yeah.
We were very upset though because in America they showed the interval for this film. Why didn't you even
show it? Cut the whole thing out.
I know they showed interval, but I got up. I was ready to go get some popcorn. And be like, I got to do the full-blown experience of what it's like in India, right? And they did interval and then jumped right back into the film.
Yeah,
I was like,
0.2 seconds. You can't do any of that.
Nope, guess I won't be getting popcorn or anything.
Couldn't even take a piss.
No. I mean, I did.
It's frustrating. You did right there in the theater.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, because you didn't have a time.
I said no interval. I'm peeing on the floor. That's what I do.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was very interesting. We were very excited to be there, though.
Yes.
Again, only ones in the theater.
Yep. We rented that bad boy out.
So we could do whatever we wanted.
And
could
we
scream,
did whatever we
could
wanted.
dance.
We
Yeah.
were dancing. We were fist pumping. We were doing the whole
I'm
thing.
sure the guy who like seats you and takes your tickets and everything, I'm sure they could hear us outside of that.
They could. We were screaming
Yeah,
in the damn theater.
we were the only ones. But yeah, fucking wild.
Wild.
What a wild. The movie we haven't talked about was fucking wild. It was just as wild as the experience
Holy
itself.
hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's jump into the review of this, because what I want to say is the last half an hour of the film should have been the whole film.
Yes.
That's the thing that, like, when Simba was introduced, awesome, and then we got Singham himself.
Yeah.
You and I flipped shit. We were yelling in the theater at the top
I
of
had
our
no
lungs.
idea. I totally forgot that they were even teasing that they're all going to be in
they're
this
all
film.
going to be in the same film.
Because we got a preference early on that we have not seen any of these films. So we're jumping into the fourth one in the series.
Yeah, we have reacted to scenes from Singham
Yes.
and Simba, but never seen the full films yet. Definitely something I would love to one day review Singham. We
Yeah,
have to.
and Simba even.
And Simba, yeah.
Because I gotta say, both those films. I mean, my biggest complaint was not enough action in this.
Not enough action, and they took themselves way too serious, dude.
Yeah, I thought for sure these films. I mean, I should have known because it's kind of the forte, but I thought for sure like they were not going to take this film seriously at all.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like the Shettyverse,
Yeah, I
where
thought it
it's
was gonna
very
be
lighthearted,
very lighthearted.
action, hilarious.
Yes, Fast and Furious-esque.
Yeah.
It's like there's obviously no real stakes.
No.
Very real stakes in this film that I was unprepared for.
Yeah, like, and then like really like it would be weird because they try to make a joke and then they'd go back to like Mumbai 1993 bombing and show all the actual photos, and I'm like, hold on, I'm trying to hear having a good time, and now you're like taking me to a dark place, and now you're making jokes again. I'm like, what are we doing?
That was something that we definitely don't see. I mean, not that time has to pass before we start interconnecting real world events. Mm-hmm. Like nowadays we can do like World War II, like Nazi stuff. We can do like secret organization Nazi stuff like that. But we could not connect the 9/11 bombings to like Dom and the Fast and Furious crew, where like it's them going against the Taliban. Like we could not. But this film, they did not care about that.
No, and they
said
intertwine
fictional cops, fictional everything
with real events.
Real world events.
In real world events that were, 20, 30 years ago too. You're not talking like 100 years ago. So it was weird in that aspect to kind of try to intertwine those.
Because at some point it's so dark that you're like, maybe I shouldn't even be having fun.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and then like,
and then the fightings is so unrealistic. They were like, why are you having this film like being so grounded at some points? But then being like, okay, now stop having fun. Mm-hmm. Now you need to be fucking serious. And then a minute later, it's like, okay, let's relax. They're dancing now. They're singing.
Having fun. They're doing a musical number. They're at a carnival, you know.
But don't fucking forget.
Yeah, don't.
That there's very real terrorists out there willing to kill everyone.
And don't you fucking joke at the fact of any of these things that are happening. Yeah. And that's where it's so confusing. Like, there are some Indian followers and subscribers who get very mad at us because we joke around about certain things. But it's like, what are you supposed to feel in this film? It's so conflicting because at times they're joking around. Simba's there. Sing them. It's funny. We're killing people.
Should they be singing and dancing
like,
knowing that there's terrorists everywhere about to blow up all of India?
How are we allowed to laugh? Are we not allowed to laugh at this film? It's very confusing, and that for me is where it fell flat in that aspect, because like as soon as Simba and Singham showed up and they were doing those crazy action sequences,
so much fun.
I was having fun in the theater.
Yeah.
We were yelling, shouting, and some of the action scenes are so over the top, like, and I love it. Like when Singham shot the grenade and it blew up the guy, I was laughing so hard.
The whole thing
that's what I wanted.
Yeah, it should not. This movie would be so much. One, if they did a lot. There's too much dialogue in this fucking movie.
Way too much, dude, and way too many subplots that I'm like, why? Why?
This is the one time I keep bringing up. This is like the one time with any like modern action film, I would say go by the Fast and Furious formula, where like these guys aren't talking. You're not hearing fucking Vin Diesel give a lengthy monologue because you can't understand a word he's saying.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, like there's so many monologues in this fucking movie. There's so many pep talks.
A lot of pep talks. And then like
him trying to convince terrorists just to turn all of a sudden, it's too much.
Well, in that, okay, so God, do we have a lot to talk about on that? Yeah, we have a lot to talk about on that. So obviously there's this terrorist and he's saying, what was his name? It's Reyes was one of them, but you know, he's like, I want to go one more day. I want to go and put flowers on my mom's grave.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah.
These guys just so happen to be there the exact same. Mumbai's fucking huge. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know the people in India. I mean, Mumbai's a big place, right?
Yeah.
There are plenty of different places.
They're constantly running into these guys.
Well, right. And then boom, they run into him and they're like, oh, he's here. We got to get him. And then they show up to the one hotel in Mumbai and Sooryavanchi's family is there. And I'm like, what? Come on.
It's all just happenstance. Yeah, I know.
You know, and it's like, why not tackle and arrest the terrorist? Why allow him to go up to his room? You're a police officer. No one's going to ask any questions if you apprehend you
have more than enough evidence.
Well, yeah.
It's not like you don't need to catch him in the act.
Right. You know he's a terrorist.
I know.
So again, just
but they've been looking for this one guy forever.
But you had to wait for Sooryavanshi to show up.
He's the main character.
I know, but again, it's just like, it was bad script writing in there where it's like, apprehend the guy, don't let him go up to his room, and then when you come into the room, he's already got that gun to his head, ready to blow his head off.
All of that would have been fine. Literally, you could have done all that and it'd be so ridiculous if they weren't taking it so serious.
Yes.
It would feel much, because I was even bringing it up during the film, but I'm like, man, this feels like an 80s action film. Like the writing's horrible, everything's bad, but you're still having an amazing time because nothing is that serious.
Right.
You know, it's one, they're not connecting it to real world events. You got some guy, maybe he's got like a giant laser or something, but it's nothing like it's just the stakes were too fucking high and too ridiculous. Like all that stuff would have been like, if it was just kind of like a spoof, you know, it would all been like, oh, this is funny because it's like bad writing on purpose, but it's like,
well, and that's what
this one, it's like, they're like, let's make an Oscar-worthy film.
Right, let's be real serious and real grounded.
But then the fighting scenes, let's make them as cartoony as possible.
Yes.
But the entire film is like that. I mean, in every element. The score is like that, where the score has there's no theme. No. The scores, it's like you're watching 9 different films, 9 different genres. Sometimes it's like horror theme.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. It's like sometimes it's slide whistle wacky. And
sometimes it's full-blown orchestra.
Yeah.
And the guy's just like literally not doing
That's
anything.
what I'm saying, 80 deep of like the orchestra. And it's, I talked about, I'm like, the composer of this film.
I had a blast.
You are getting your money's worth with this fucking guy.
You know he's so coked up doing just every different genre.
He's making 9 different scores for one film.
Yeah.
And no one's reining him in. No. Also, but I say the entire movie's like that because the cameraman is all coked up. This guy's a loose cannon.
Oh, he is. There were like times where he would just zoom in on feet, and I'm like, what the fuck? Or like zoom in randomly on a face, and I'm like, let's relax with the camera work a little bit here. And then like the action scenes, it would go. There were some of them where it'd go boom, 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 like back and forth.
It's
I'm like,
parody-esque where it's like, he has to be doing this. But no, it's very serious.
Yeah.
And then like any time a new character would just walk into a room, even if that character never had another scene, he'd get the most dramatic play. Dun, dun, dun. Every time he'd be like the pizza boy. And he'd have the most, like they all have their own themes. So they'd all get the most dramatic theme. It's like the character he wasn't even saying anything dramatic.
No, and I got to be honest with you. The score went the entire fucking film. There was no dialogue with no music in the background, and it was so distracting, and I absolutely hated it.
That's another thing. It's like there are scenes where the absence of score can just be as powerful as a really good score.
Exactly.
But this guy's like, if you're paying me,
full 2.5 hours. Nothing but score.
Not a scene when you're not getting a full-on Duel of Fates-esque Star Wars, John Williams inspired score for fucking real. It was crazy.
It really was. I'm really interested though, and I'm going to change topics here. I am really interested because there were some very deep, emotional scenes that
Yeah.
really tugged at your heart.
Well, even you got a little emotional at some point.
I did, and
So
I just
you can't talk too much because you did get emotional.
I did. I started crying in the theater.
What scene was it that really got you?
Well, it was the police officer that blew up upstairs. You know, he's like, bomb, boom, blew up, and then they're like, we tried to sew him back together.
Oh, was it
Didn't
the
work.
bowling ball guy?
Bowling ball guy, yeah.
Favorite character in every movie
He was great.
killed. Yeah.
Hilarious. He was a funny comedic.
I don't think intentionally.
No, but
every time I saw that guy, I laughed.
But as I was getting very emotional in the theater and crying, I go, I wonder how Jabby and
They'd be weeping.
Achara Kirk are going to be able to.
They'd be on the ground making a big scene, just
weeping and throwing their
just full on tears in a wreck, an
well,
emotional
and there's
state.
nothing that screams sell out more than making a thumbnail of you two crying. Just to show people how sad you are. I mean, the pandering is unreal between those two.
I guarantee they would have cried in this film.
I guarantee they were. I'm so looking forward to that review just to see the emotional elements of how powerful this film was to them.
But we did get a little clip of you. I gotta tell you, I did get a little video clip of you. I had to.
You did?
I had to.
You got me crying.
I had to, dude. I had to. Yeah. So
I guess you will be able to view that now.
आपके पास आपका परिवार है यहाँ बिल्कुल आपके सामने दीदी
I get why Jabby Okoye
जो
always
हुआ वो
cries.
भुलाकर
And Achara
अपने
Kirk.
परिवार को समेट लीजिए
You okay? I'm okay.
You okay?
I'm good.
I've never seen you like this.
I just watched a Jabby Okoye video though. Makes her emotional.
But yeah, so I don't. But you definitely look like you went to the Jacoby acting school of crime.
I did. Jabby Koya. Yeah,
Jabby
no,
Okoye,
I
yeah.
definitely went to those levels.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just inspired by him, how emotional he gets.
It works for him, but
Yeah, it does.
definitely some sad scenes, definitely some lighthearted musical scenes as well.
There
which
were some good dance numbers.
I was almost glad because you can't go to a Bollywood film
and not have a dance number.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't.
Well, and again, I don't know, but when we were in the theater, we had it all to ourselves, rented out the whole thing ourselves.
Yeah.
I started dancing in the
You
theater.
got pretty
it was fun, man.
It's hard not to.
It's hard. The song was catchy.
it was hard not
catchy,
to.
my guy.
But you definitely got into it for sure. But
It was raining hard. She was dancing in that silver
you
dress.
got to have the rain, I think.
I love it.
I think
Oh,
it's
you
mandatory in
absolutely
Bollywood.
Yeah, you play in the puddles, kick the water
Splash.
up.
Well, they got to sell those records.
You do.
Got to sell that soundtrack. Yeah.
And definitely them singing, too. Definitely their voices.
100%.
Definitely Kumar's voice, for sure.
You know, I guarantee this is it's a funny thing, but I guarantee on the record, it will say Kumar did sing that.
Oh, yeah.
For
sure. For sure.
And people will just eat it up.
They
They're
will.
Yeah, he did.
I believe it.
Yes, he did. But
Not
yeah,
even a singer.
I wish, but I'll go back to it. But just it needed more fighting scenes. Every time
did.
the fighting scenes happen,
We were
I
having
was
the
like,
best time.
"Fuck yeah, this is
Yep.
crazy." When you get that first scene, it's like 10 minutes in, and it sets the tone. But then you get an hour of nothing. But it sets the tone of him chasing that guy over the rooftop, and him just soaring through like he's
I love
got
it.
double
Just
jump.
jumping like this every time. It was great though. Those were great moments.
Full on crane
Yeah.
kick every time he jumped. It was hilarious.
When
It was
even him
awesome.
just being able to be the super cop, pulling himself up, no problem.
But him slamming the guy's face from 30 stories up, and that guy bouncing up and getting right up. Like nothing happened.
Nothing happened. They fell like fucking 60 feet. But those are all elements that you love to see in super cop films. That's something that Singham did great, which is why we love Singham so much. That's something Simba does really
so
well.
Good. It's so funny. That scene.
That's what was missing in this.
when they first go to the bad guy's restaurant.
yes.
And he's talking to him, and then he turns around and he turns back, and the guy's on the second floor with an RPG.
I loved it. That was one of my favorite scenes in the film. He was already locked and loaded, and Sooryavanshi like, RPG. He's like, fuck, and just turns and ducks out of the way.
That guy was
That's
like,
great
you
stuff.
know, you can't just shoot Sooryavanshi. You gotta blow
his
him up
ass
with
up.
a fucking RPG. So it's his only weakness.
This fucking terrorist gives no regard for anyone around. It was a packed street too. He just fucking tried blowing his ass up.
It
with
happened
RPG.
so quickly. The editing was so fucking funny.
It
And
was.
the zoom in, it was hilarious.
Just already locked and loaded.
Like, clearly, he had it loaded on the top of it. Like, he was ready for that fucking day.
That day when the day did happen. Yeah, dude. And I love Sooryavanchi's posse too. They were
these guys,
so
most useless
not
gang of guys.
conspicuous at
Yeah.
all. Like all walking around in sunglasses and muscle like
Yeah.
tees that like clearly you're cops.
That's what I thought. And at one point, they're like, they don't even try doing like the sting anymore because it's like obviously they're the worst. Not even that, but the bowling ball guy, Bombay,
Yeah,
immediately
Bombay.
goes right into the restaurant and starts asking the weirdest fucking question.
Weird question. Yeah, where you're like, are you a fucking cop?
Yeah.
Are you a cop?
And then, like, I feel like someone asked him to order something. He's like, no, I'm not ready. Like, he made a big scene about it. And then the next scene, that guy's on top of the roof. Like, he gave him away immediately.
Oh, R.I.P. Bombay, man.
In
I loved
pieces.
him. Yeah, he's in pieces. They tried to sew his ass back together, but it didn't work. And I love how the doctor was so dramatic. Took his hat off. He's like, we weren't
did
able to
everything we
save him.
can.
You guys like,
assume
no
he-
shit. The guy's in pieces.
You guys assume
got
he just
blown
went
up.
back to the operating room and was like, call it.
No, he's like, he's like, "Dude, I'm gonna go in the break room for 2 hours and I'm gonna come out and tell him we weren't able to save him. I don't know what they
Someone
want.
spray blood on me so it looks like I was doing something.
Is that his left arm over there? Is that his torso here? We can't save him. He's dead. He blew up.
How they shot it, they made it look like he was in there for hours doing everything he could.
To save him. He literally got fucking blown up. You're not saving someone who gets blown up.
But they gave it the best. Gave it the
They
old
did.
cop.
They gave it
To
the
be
old
fair,
college try. Yeah.
his son was shot through the throat, and I thought, oh, he's fucking dead.
Okay.
And that super operator
Saves the kid.
So maybe there's
Yeah, maybe.
nothing impossible
Yeah.
that this guy.
Okay, we have to talk about that. Sooryavanshi, the
craziest scene ever.
worst father in the history of fathers.
Worse than what's the Indian TV show that we did?
Sacred Games.
Not Sacred Games. What's the last one we just did?
The last one we just did was, Prime Video. Family Man.
He is somehow a worse dad than the
him,
Family
yeah.
Man in the titular Family Man series.
No, Sooryavanshi gets the crown for worst father ever
Brings his son.
to a gunfight. And like, he had the opportunity when they were reversing, he could have been like, wife, son, get out of the car. I got to go on pursuit. No, this motherfucker not only drives a car and they're firing at him. Once he's firing back at them. I'm like, dude, get your kid out of the car, you irresponsible
It is so funny because
asshole.
you see it happening, and like Sooryavanshi and his wife, who can't remember her name in it way too much, but they're ducking. With the kid in the back seat, head up, not bullets whizzing past his head.
And he's sitting in the middle of the seat, too,
Yes.
not even behind mom or dad.
He's got to get middle seat, of course. Yeah.
Of course he's going to get hit with a stray bullet.
And then after all this, Sooryavanshi is shocked that his wife is angry.
he's like, well, I had to save the world. What
Yeah.
do you want?
It did nothing. And the whole time, everyone's like, I can't believe she's leaving. I'm like,
What do you mean?
that guy could be thrown in prison for child endangerment.
Of course, he should be in jail right now.
Imagine a detective on a job taking his kid
To a literal gunfight.
You would be, but no one questions it.
No one. And they're like, man, she's really overreacting.
God, what a
here."
bitch.
I know. God, it's not like your kid died. He got shot in the
His fucking
neck.
spinal cord was grazed. He's lucky he's walking.
Yeah, no shit. Lucky he's got all fucking phalanges.
The kid,
moving.
nothing happened to him. Doesn't even
was fine.
talk about getting shot in the throat again.
No. He's like, yeah, that's
In
what
their
my dad
Tuesday
does.
for him, yeah. Not even that, but they witnessed their dad murdered those terrorists.
Oh my God. I forgot about that. The car flips over.
Pretend you didn't get just shot in the throat.
Right.
Seeing your dad murder two men. I mean, not
in cold blood.
in the middle of broad daylight, it's gonna scar you.
I mean, they got out of the car. He walks up and puts fucking 11 rounds into him. I'm like, geez.
Remember, he doesn't even realize his son was in the car. He
No.
has no fucking clue. His wife's got to run out and be like, hey.
Our son's might be dead. He's bleeding everywhere. It looks like a neck wound.
Then the dramatic run.
I care now.
What are you running to? He's already
He's already shot. Yeah, you're not going to save him. You're not taking the bullet when the bullet has already penetrated your son's neck.
Clearly, you didn't care that much to not even take him to the fucking shootout, but yeah, insane scene.
Oh, terrible parenting.
And then the whole time people were trying to convince her to stay. She should be in Australia.
Yeah, no, she should have. And I swear to God, it took her the whole fucking movie to get to Australia.
She never goes.
She never went.
I guess she was just talking about it. Made it sound very concrete about.
Yeah,
this.
she's like, pretty.
We're going.
Yeah, we're going. We're getting out of here. Not going to be around you anymore, Sooryavanshi.
But she takes for fucking, not only that, but like she lets him hang around his son. It's like years after. It's like, and takes her forever to go. But should have went because she ended up getting a bomb strapped to her.
Yeah.
And then like the next scene. So
Oh my God. See, okay, so again, when it's like spoofy and funny, it's okay. But like the bomb scene, I was like, oh my fucking God, dude. It's
talking
just
the
like
bombs?
zippers.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, go slow. And they're like arguing the whole time. And I'm like, oh my God, just take the bomb
that's
off
the thing
her.
where it's like Simba at first I enjoyed, then he
Yes.
gets super fucking
Super
annoying, at
annoying
one
towards
point.
the end.
Yeah. Well, about the bomb scene about them, of the terrorists putting the bombs in the car and just leaving them out in the middle of nowhere for anyone to come fucking see.
Oh my God, yeah.
Not throwing like a blanket or any. Like,
That's what I was about to say.
only way the cops figure out the bomb. They're just running around looking in the cars.
Looking in cars.
They go,
And
not
here's
that
the
one,
thing.
not that one.
You plan years and years, decades, might I remind everyone, with the RDX
about
being
30 years.
Yeah, being buried and all that. They don't even take the time to throw a jacket or a blanket over these bombs.
I don't even think they were locking the cars.
They weren't. I think they all were unlocked. They all just got right into those bad boys. I could not believe that. Like, come on.
I know. And fucking ridiculous.
And how about this? And again, it's comedy, so I'm okay with it, but how ridiculous. Oh, the big dramatic reveal. As soon as we hit this button, she's going to explode. And then there's a 2-minute delay on the bomb. I'm like, why?
Start the timer in the first, but yeah, it's so,
You're a terrorist.
it's a quote unquote dead man switch. So like the guy puts his thumb off the thing and it blows up.
Yeah.
He puts it off. And it just starts a 20-minute. Like,
timer.
oh shit! I guess we have some time. Like what the fuck?
But how about Simba when they're all on their hands and knees? The terrorists are making the video. Simba just gets up and gives this long monologue, and no terrorist
No one
stops
cares.
him. They don't
Let him go.
let him do his thing.
They all know they're all three of these guys are super cops too. Like it's they're not hiding the fact, but Simba's entrance was fucking awesome though.
It was. So was Singham's though, with the door. And why do you always do car stunts?
But Simba driving through the wall on top of the car is so fucking just sprawled out, not worried that debris would destroy his face. Like he drove through a wall and he wrecked. But him at the top of the car, just super fuck you. Like it's so not even in the car. It's fucking hilarious. I just wanted that. I wanted the tone of that the entire movie.
That's what I wanted too. The over-the-top comedy, over-the-top action.
Yeah, and
that's
maybe,
what I
maybe
expected.
Singham and Simba are like that.
They are like that. No, I know they're like that. But
You think they're? But I still have a feeling they'll probably heavy stakes. Probably.
yeah, there are probably some dramatic scenes in it.
Yeah.
But I feel like Singham and stuff is a lot more lighthearted and goofy and, super cop. But they try to be way too serious.
I'm telling you, if you keep that tone the entire movie for 2 hours, not 2 hours and 40 minutes, because you cut this thing down big time. But you keep that tone, you have a movie that lands worldwide.
Worldwide, absolutely.
I mean that's like Kung Fu Fury and stuff, and that's like Shaolin Soccer. Like those films of China are super fucking goofy, not
Kung
serious at all. Kung Pao, or stuff like that, where it's like, or Kung Fu Hustle.
Kung Fu Hustle, yes, yep.
Those movies are so fucking silly and ridiculous, and they are known worldwide as being some of the best comedies. Like, you could do that with these films.
You could with the Shettyverse if you didn't take it so serious.
And you could have a film that doesn't just land in India. You could have a film that lands world fucking wide. These films, Like, there's clearly something there. I don't think it's just that easy even to do ridiculous fight scenes like that, because they have to have a certain tone where it's just that, like, clearly they're all on wires and whatnot. It's funny. It has its own look. It can be something super unique and cool, but interjecting all these other things and making it so like a super dramatic drama, like it's so sad.
I really
there's
hated
something
those
there.
parts.
Yeah, so
The
there's
super dramatic scenes.
You could tell there's something there in these fucking films that's like, you have something that clearly people do like, but you could have something that touches everyone if you just were like, let's just make this silly. It doesn't have to be 3 hours long. And it does.
And if you know your lane, and you know, like, I respect it. So we talk about, we don't like Fast and Furious because it takes itself too serious most times.
Yeah.
They did a better job in the last one. I will give them that. They did. They kind of, worked on the jokes and whatnot as far as like being goofy and over the top.
But that's
if
with like
you
the
take
family drama they take too
Right,
seriously.
exactly.
This is like big fucking stakes. This is
Yeah.
like, it's like we should be sad at some points during this film. Like,
Yeah, if you literally just take those elements, and I love the super over the top action sequences in this, and if you were to just take that and make a really good comedy out of it, I would have enjoyed the entire film.
Yes.
But I found myself at points in this film when it was super dramatic and down, and I was like checking my phone. I'm like, damn, what time it is?
Well,
but that last half hour, I loved it.
Yeah.
The whole thing. I was just like, hell yeah, dude. This is
and we
what I
get like
wanted.
30 minutes of things, nothing happening. Like, there was many scenes where I even read over like, what was the point of having that scene in there?
Oh, so
it
many
did
of those.
nothing. It didn't move the story along or anything. It was just, to me, watching these films, it's like whenever you watch a film from America or the West or anything, it's like they're cutting down everything's got to be cut down. And when you're watching these films, it's like, we got to extend everything.
Even if it doesn't make sense and doesn't move the plot.
Everything's got to be as long as possible.
When everything's got to be explained.
Because even scenes go on for too long. Like, there's some scenes where you just show the bare minimum of what's happening, but then there's scenes like it keeps going to where like the characters got to explain what happened in that scene.
Yeah.
To where it's like, well, you don't got to dumb it down for me. I'm watching the film. I'm here. You already got me.
Or like the villain talking about this child and how he was raised, and he goes, I am that child. We're like, yeah, no, we know.
No, we've been watching the full
We've
film.
been watching the film. We know that you are talking about yourself. You don't then have to tell the audience, that was me.
Yeah, so there's a lot of those scenes where it's like, just cut them down. It's like, we got to give them their bang for the buck. If you're paying fucking $10, you got to be there for a full 2.5 hours of, but. And some of the action scenes I wanted, because at the very end it kind of devolves into just a gunfight. I wanted more hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Because these guys are fucking superheroes. I don't want to see them going around shooting. Anyone can shoot anyone. You can get anyone in there to do that.
I love the superhero aspect, but I also love that like these cops will blatantly just kill people. And I love the end of the film when they're like, you'll never be anything, you'll never stop. And all three of them, Simba, Singham, and Sooryavanshi, just turn around and unload their guns into the terrorists.
We got to talk about the bad guys in this film. I'm talking about the henchmen are fucking useless in this. You think stormtroopers are bad? Remember when like the SWATs went running around everywhere and like there's henchmen, like they're everywhere. But then you get a scene where it'd be like 4 henchmen in a room and SWAT are like surrounding them and the henchmen don't even know they're surrounded. Like how are they getting the jump on you?
I have no idea.
Like you had the entire building and they just stormed the building and these henchmen are useless.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fucking
And a lot of them
useless.
die because of it.
All of them.
Yeah.
99% of them, I would say, don't survive until the end. But yeah, a lot of henchmen and a lot of fucking characters for sure in this film. But a wild ride nonetheless.
It was an interesting experience.
It was exactly what I pretty much expected from going into it. I knew it was going to be insane. And that's exactly what it is.
It was insane. I was a little disappointed, and I know I brought it up, but I'm a little disappointed on the aspect because I thought when we watched the trailer, I thought it was going to be more comedy and more lighthearted. Ended up not being, which kind of confused me. But again,
because the trailers do not, like even the Simba or Singham trailers do not, like they make them appear they're very like goofy and like lighthearted.
Yeah,
like you
that's what it
should not
should be.
be taking this seriously.
No.
And then you see the film and you're like, Well, not. You should be taking this because it's showing you real pictures.
Real pictures of like the Bombay Blast 2611.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, what? How are you trying to make me feel? Is this supposed to be lighthearted or am I supposed to be fucking sad? I don't know.
It should have been some goofy villain that had, like
face melting, like
something.
nanobots.
Yeah, it should have been something.
Not real world events.
Not real terrorists like ISIS and shit. And I get that there's real problems, but there's movies that call for those real.
Correct.
Like
to be taken care of.
They're called dramas.
Yeah.
They're not called cop comedies. So that whole part, was a little off-putting, but what an experience.
It was fun. It was great.
I'd go. I definitely would. I mean, I wouldn't take back going. I mean, it was.
Of course not. Because we may never get that opportunity again.
I don't think we will. Yeah, unless we go to India. That's going to be the only better experience is going to India and being in the crowd when they're freaking out and they're losing their minds, and then you get a big intermission. You can go out and talk about the movie for 10 minutes and then come back in. I think that would be cool.
Well, if we ever hit 1 million subscribers, we'll be able to go.
Yeah, we better. They better be paying us to go at that point.
Well, yeah. 1 million subbies, we're on our way.
All right. That's all I got.
All right, well, that is our review for Sooryavanshi. If you guys like what you're seeing here, please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krause, and until next time.
Bye.